Everywhere I look around me is a mess. But do you know what's not a mess? Our profits. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not in the best position in the world, but we're actually... Pause. I'm putting a stop to you right there, Joey, for a very important message. I am currently 148 subscribers from 100,000 on YouTube. If you've watched any of my content that provides you with some value or entertainment, please hit that subscribe button. This video you're watching was actually uploaded over a week ago. I'm quickly making this 10 minutes before it goes live. I'm pretty sure today we're going to hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers. And when I do, I'm going to be going live, which is most probably going to be around about the same time this video goes up. I'll now let you watch the video. Thank you for your time. £926.33 in the green for this series. I've got a lot of updating to do. This PS5, these PS5s, and this PS5 have all sold. So make sure you stick around to the end so we can see accurately what profit we're at now. I buy faulty electronic items, attempt to fix them and sell them for a profit. Welcome your faces back to episode number 26, season 2 of the series Profit or Loss. It's time to bonjour. I paid a grand total, this one was a lot better I promise, of £115 for this PlayStation 5 disc edition console. Why only £115 I hear you say, Joey? Well, because unfortunately the warranty sticker has been breached. Also, a couple of quick observations. It is a 1216A because of the way that the sticker is here, and I think this is actually a no power. Let's plug it in and just confirm that thought process. Didn't hear a crack or anything like that. Do we get any beeps or anything? Nada. Stone cold Steve Austin, this one. Again, we don't mind the ones that have absolutely no power. Sometimes, occasionally, notice how I keep changing the frequency of this, they tend to be easier to fix. So let's go ahead and get this console open. But before we do that, a big shout out to today's video sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is your website for DIY. Get an instant quote on your PCBs at a low cost with fast delivery. New customers will also get a $5 welcome bonus. Fully customize your PCB with a few clicks, including the thickness of the board to the color of the solder mask. PCBWay also offers services in CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and also injection molding. Head on over to the gift store and grab yourself a multimeter or a soldering iron. PCBWay has it all. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the repair. Now there's no possibility of an SSD, is there? No, unfortunately not. Let's give it some bzz bzz. Nice. First impressions. What are you telling me, PlayStation 5? Everything looks to have been put back in the correct places, which is always a good start. More zhuzhing. How's this part looking? Yeah, do you know what? Relatively clean. I can't see any signs of flux on this side of the board yet anyway. Let me go ahead and plug the power in again. And we're going to take some measurements just to make sure we get all our voltages. Here we go, ground that. Do we get 12 Vs? We do. Do we get our 5? Ooh. Oh, we do. Okay. Well, I nearly fell for that one again. And do we get our 3.3? No 3.3. Definitely this time, by the way. I am 100% checking. The good news is that we got our power supply. That's awesome. And it's just a 3.3 volt short. I'm starting to get the hang of where to look for with these specifically. So it should be pretty interesting. Ooh, one thing I didn't see. Look, UART has been performed on this board. Can you see the flux around here? So somebody has tried to UART it, which usually tells me that somebody is pretty advanced at what they're doing in terms of repair. But we're going to take it slowly and hopefully be able to repair this. 3.3 is in fact not shorted to ground. Checking the back of the Wi-Fi real quick whilst I have the board this way round. Seems to be okay. Continue taking it apart. Any signs of flux on the other side? No. What? Hold on. Oh no. So first things first, I was like, there's no CMOS battery. Then I'm like, there's no RT chip here. So of course we're not going to get 3.3 volts without the RT. Or has the BIOS been touched? I don't know. I'll have to go under the scope and take a look. So we'll do that right this second. Could this end up being a little bit of a lost cause? Hopefully not. How's the BIOS? BIOS looks pretty factory actually. Okay, cool. Right, what's going on? First off, what I'll say is it doesn't look like they've done any work anywhere else on the board unless they've just really cleaned up nicely. But I can't see any flux residue elsewhere. What about the retimer actually? No, that looks good. And the port itself? Fine. Factory, all factory. So we need to work out what's going on here. God, these RT chips recently have been a right pain for me. Very, very common issue with these PlayStation 5s. So let's see what's going on. Fuse good? Fuse is okay, but is that a short? No, it's not. Short this side? Won't be, will it? Because the fuse has a continuous path. Right, let's check here then. So they've moved a few caps. Where have they moved these caps? Here. So is there a short here? No. No short there either. Okay. Well, there doesn't seem to be any shorts around the IC from what I can tell. I'm kind of thinking we just put the chip back and go from there. See what's happening. I checked Southbridge on the back just quickly, and doesn't seem like there's any shorts here. So Southbridge all seems okay as well. Interesting. Just a bit confused as to why they messed around with this circuit, to be honest. Also, is there actually meant to be a cap there like that? It kind of looks really out of place, you know? Here's a donor. Yeah, it is meant to be. Okay, let's put this little chip back then. This is one taken from a donor board. Does it work? Who knows? Pin 1 on the chip is a little circle, which you will be able to see in a sec. Let me just get this on. Kind of have to think, why would they have taken it off? There probably was a short, right? There must have been. There must have been a short for them to actually replace or take off the chip in the first place. Unless they were digging around for the 3.3 volt rail because they realized it was missing. That's a possibility as well. Right, 50% airflow now. And just flow this back into place, and hopefully we can flow back in the cap below that as well. Chip position-wise looks pretty good if you ask me. Cool. It just bounced back into place, which means that that is a-okay in terms of position, and everything should be soldered. We'll take a look in a sec. Microfiber cloth, IPA, and a brush. Right, I've just put the battery back in as well. Stole one from another board. It's got 3.1 volts, so it should be absolutely fine. Let's have a look. Chip soldered. Yep. 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 And yep. I highly doubt from a logical perspective that this will give us any shorts, but I could be wrong. So I will just have a quick poke. Normal. Fine. Because maybe this is joining something up from somewhere else on the board, which is what was causing the short. Nope. Yeah, it's all good. Looks to be anyway. Ground. Fine. Fine. Okay. Well, let's see what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take my phone. I'm going to record injecting 12 volts into this board to see exactly what happens. A normal boot sequence, when you inject 12 volts into these boards, it will creep up to around about 300 milliamps and then creep back down to 0. That's what you would call a normal boot. So I'll probably just put it up here. Trying to record this is going to be a little bit tricky though. Here's what it is. Right, here we go. That should be good. 3, 2, 1. 270. Oh, okay. And holding on 270. I think, straight off the bat, I'll do it again. I think that's the SSD controller. 275. And not doing anything else and getting stuck on boot there. I'm going to make a call and say SSD controller. Now, it looks like it was obviously, it's taking 200 milliamps. So something must be displaying heat here. I will use my thermal camera to see if the SSD controller is getting obscenely hot. And maybe, just maybe, whoever tried repairing this before went, it's the SSD controller, I ain't touching that. Or maybe they just didn't know. Here we go, we'll go overhead cam because you should be able to get a good visual on it anyway. Right, let's go. There we go. What are you going to... So 36 is normal-ish. What's that little IC getting hot there? And then it went back down. What was that IC? That was a bit strange. This one. Oh. Okay, wait there. That's the USB-C controller for the front of the panel. A little bit strange that that was getting hot. I don't think I've ever seen that get hot. What chip am I talking about? This one right here. Yeah, it's the USB-C controller, I think. Got the meter in continuity mode just to see if there is any issues with this IC. 500, 500, 500. So are they all 500 ohms? I'm assuming so, right? 494. 504. Well, that's slightly different. There's a 10 ohm different there. 530. So I have just conducted some testing as well on the back of the APU. Only because I was just curious, right? So meter in continuity mode. If I measure here, I get 1.4 ohms. If I measure here, I get 1.0, 1.1 ohms. Pretty low. Take another random cap. 1.1. 7. That's okay. What about here? 1.1. 1.3. So, I mean, the difference there, 1.2 is minuscule, right? So is that a shorted APU? 1.3. 1.1. Do I get anything in resistance mode instead of continuity mode to give me a little bit more hope? I get 1 ohm there, 1.3 there. Diode mode, 0.01, 0.02, same here. Exactly the same. Check on the back of this SSD controller here. 36 is pretty normal. 400 there, I think is pretty normal. 36 there is normal. 36. 37, it's normal. So, you know, there is obviously a chance that it definitely could be this, but these readings seem to be a-okay at the moment, from what I can tell. Just a bit worried about what I'm seeing on the back of the APU here. If I take a donor, this one, I actually know the APU was good, because it did power on at one point. So let's just check here. This will solidify the fact for me if it's going to be SSD controller or not. Yeah, look, oh, wait a minute. 1.5, 1.7. Okay, maybe this is just really, really low impedance then on the back of the APU. Ridiculously small. Okay, another question we need to ask ourselves is, do I have this SSD? Because this is 030 board, and sometimes these SSD can be the controller, sorry, the SSD controller could be the brand new one. What is it? It's a 62 GG, which I believe is the older ones. I have one in my box. Is it balled or pulled? Ah, it's pulled, so I do need to reball. Second question is it a 62 GG? Yes, it is. So I can reball that. So yeah, that's where I'm hedging my bets. I think this is going to be the chip that's faulty based on 270 milliamp draw. Am I about to potentially be wrong and waste a bunch of time reballing a couple of ICs? Absolutely. But that is the fun of the game. First off, I'll take this. This is from a donor board actually, and the reason I'm taking another SSD controller is because when I'm reballing, I do it twice to make it nice, just in case I need to use another one because I've messed up. And reballing is one of those things that when you get into the flow of something, the whole process is a lot smoother after the first one. So I'm going to go 450 degrees here at 99% airflow and take this one off. Again, this is just a donor. That is a donor, not a doner. I mean, I'd love a doner kebab right now, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Oh, I could do with a cookie actually. Flux. Inject it. That was a pain to take off, I'll be honest. It took ages. Board's been sat around for a long time, so I guess that doesn't help, does it? Right, now we've got it in the holder. I think both of these SSD controllers that I have are going to have unleaded solder. So first things first here. Flux. And a bunch of leaded. Usually I don't worry about it on the IC itself. I'll just go straight in with the wick, but because they've been sat around for quite a long time, I make this as pleasant for the IC as possible, I guess. And now, just a nice wick. There we go. And whilst the IC is hot, clean with microfiber, and that is ready to be reballed. And now we just rinse and repeat the process for this one. 2 for 2. Take one of our SSD controllers, put it in there, get a little bit of flux, spread that out on the IC, make it nice and sticky so the balls stick to it. Plate and magnet. There we go. Jubbly. And now the fun begins. Ball size I'm using is actually 0.55 mil. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Potentially a bit too much. Right. That looks all good to me, so now I'm just going to try and flick some of these off and make sure they don't roll down. Well, it was all good until it wasn't, so let's just put that back. Here we go. So what I like to do is now take this and just slowly lift up the cover. Here's a couple of balls that are going to get stuck in the stencil. So I'm just going to ever so slowly lift up the stencil. You're not going to be able to see this part, and just push down the balls so that they're on the actual IC instead of stuck on the stencil. Few of them might be out of place, but we can fix them no problem. There was actually a hair on that, so I'm glad I caught that now rather than later. There we go. They all look okay. Didn't take necessarily too long. Oh, one at the top as well. Just out of place. So I'm actually going to go 1% airflow. This is one of the rare occasions where I wouldn't use 99%. We'll go with a temperature of 350. I've just seen one that's caught my eye. Where was it? I think it's this one. There we go. Yeah, 350, 1%. Here we go. One's just flew off, but we can sort that out, no problem. I'm looking for them to go some sort of dull grey. Get a little bit closer now. Here they go. And if I just come in here with a little poke, that's now solidly on. So again, flux. Now we can put it up to about 5%, rinse and repeat. Lovely. Do have to just sort this one out that escaped. Wicked. Wait for that to just now cool down. We can give it a nice clean. And then again, rinse and repeat that process for the other SSD controller. There we go. That's what it looks like without all the flux. Nice even sized balls, well spread apart, ready for the board. And here is number 2. Jubbly. This is the PS5 we're working on, and I've just looked under the south bridge. I think they've changed this out. Can you see? Those balls don't look factory, and we have like flux remnants here, because I looked at this and I thought, oh, they haven't changed it, but potentially they have. You know what as well? This SSD controller here, right, is a 62GG, which is fine, and I don't think it's been replaced. Oh, I don't know now. Is there signs of flux around here? Potentially, yeah, look. Around the SSD. And I haven't touched this board just yet. Just here, look. Little signs of flux. What about around here? Everywhere else looks okay. Yeah, they have. Look. You can see the signs of flux around the IC. They have changed this out. Wait, so they changed... Oh, I can't believe I didn't see this before I started reballing. They've changed out the south bridge and the SSD controller. Here's what doesn't make sense to me, right? The SSD controller is indeed a 62GG. And the south bridge is a 69GG. This 69GG south bridge is one of the newer south bridges. On the older models, they're actually 61GG. I say older model, but for whatever reason, 030 can sometimes be either a 61GG or a 69GG. The reason I'm bringing this up is because if this is a 69GG, I'm sure that this is meant to be a 70GG, which is a newer adaptation of the SSD controllers. That definitely looks like it's been replaced. Yeah, okay, all right. So I've just looked at a piece of documentation that I've got. This is the back of the south bridge. This resistor here being in this orientation represents a 69GG south bridge, which is exactly what we've got here. I'm not entirely sure, so I'm going to do a little bit of research now to double check, because what I don't want to do is now waste one of those SSD controllers, even though potentially it doesn't line up. And if this is a 70GG SSD controller, I think the stencil is the same, but I'm not sure if I have one of those SSD controller chips available. Let's do some research. It's about an hour later. I've spent so long talking to different people and just trying to do my own research as well. And I think we're going to have to park it because it does require a 70GG SSD controller, which, as you can imagine, is very annoying. Without having that SSD controller, the 70GG, it's going to do exactly what this is doing. I believe the 62GG that we have on the board is probably actually okay. It's just incompatible for the board itself. So what does that mean for the episode? I'm going to have to, very much like the Xbox Series X consoles, wait to get a 70GG. I've checked both AliExpress and eBay, and you can't buy the chips. And for what it's worth, if you could, they'd probably be around about 80 to 90 pounds, which will wipe out any profit I have with this board. I don't want to just go ahead and sell it. I'd rather keep it around and revisit it at a later date. I've also got another one in the loft. That's a PS5 Slim that also needs a 70GG SSD controller. Oh well, at least I have some lovely jubbly reballed 62GG SSD controllers. Let's pretend like that never happened and move on to our next console. Listen, I arrive with Revenge, another PlayStation 5 that I paid a total of £115 for. Again, because it's been opened before. And I'd even hazard a guess and say that it's probably going to be the same tech, purely because of how they've left the warranty sticker. Is that a reach? Absolutely. But I bought the same PS5s from the same person. But it was a business, and some of them have been different. If in the unfortunate event I can't fix this, it may have a 70GG SSD controller. That would be a nice win, because I still think I'd be able to sell this as a donor board to make up for the rest of the money that I lose, which will be a win. I think it's no power. Let's double check. Go to plug it in. Let's try and turn it on. It is exactly that, no power. Okay, deja vu, I guess. Let's take it apart. Okay, well, straight off the bat, there's two things. One of them being that I don't think this has been taken off yet, because it's very sticky, unless I'm wrong. And two, I can't see any signs of UART, which is also pretty good. So maybe they didn't go further than this? Could be wrong, of course. It does look like the stickers have been pulled out. Yeah, no, I think they have. They've just done a good job of putting stuff back. 40,000 screws. Oh, no. Whenever you're greeted with yellow tape, it's never a good sign. Okay, kind of need to investigate here rather quickly, I'd say, to see if this is going to be a waste of time or not. I think we can all agree the tech who previously worked on these consoles that I've looked at in today's video is pretty competent with how their soldering has been, because I didn't even have a clue that they replaced the South Bridge and the SSD controller on the previous board. If I looked a bit more in depth, I could have found out, but it was good enough that they didn't leave the board drenched in flux. So let's have a look. What have we got? Is there any... Okay, so there's a component there. It's nice that they've kept the component here, I guess. Is it just that one? I believe so. What component is it? Assuming here. SBV. Okay, well, I'm intrigued pretty much straight off the bat. We ground this. Is there any shorts in this area then? Yeah, right here. Okay. So if I just put this little chip here, we still have a short? Yeah, we do. This could be APU. This cap here on the positive side comes up as 1 ohm, and I'm pretty sure there's a dead short to ground. I'm pretty sure that's APU. Okay, hold on, because we have got a short. I'm going to inject real quick to see if this just lights up the APU, because if it does light up the APU, it's not good. And like I said, they obviously kind of know what they're doing, because they've removed this chip as well to see if that is where the short lies, in which case we might have a candidate for the 70GG. Hold on, off the bat, I've just gone 0.7 volts to see what we get. I get 2 amps with 0.7. That is not good. The clamp's still on at the moment as well, which is a big mistake, but let me see if I get any heat spots somewhere. No, it's probably going to be on APU, right? Where's that getting warm? Is that... Wait there. What's really strange, right? So if I inject this side of... Is that a cap or an inductor? I'm sure that's meant to be an inductor, but if I inject onto this side of the inductor... Oh, now I'm getting a draw. I wasn't getting a draw before. Very strange. Let me remove this clamp and see if it's the APU that's getting toasty. My guess is exactly that. Let's see now. No. The APU isn't getting hot. So what is getting hot then? The actual inductor's getting hot, which is just weird, I guess. But at the same time, understandable. I'm going to move the inductor to the side for a second. Do we still have a short? Here we have a short. This cap is also shorted. There's a bunch of stuff shorted on here. So I've just checked on the donor board as well, and we are for sure meant to get around about 500 ohms or so on this line here, and we still have a short. So I'm going to take the board out and see if there's anything getting hot on the other side, because again, I'm also pretty sure that this cap here is not meant to be short to ground as well. So I am still pretty convinced that it's going to be the APU. I also don't know what this cap here is playing at. There's no heat signature coming from this, but it is one of the last things in the circuit here. So I'm kind of thinking, do I quickly remove that and see if our short goes? This is a complete stretch. Measure now. Yeah, it's still shorted. Let's take the board out. Could be stuff on the other side of this board that the other tech's done as well, which will probably give us our answers. So directly on the other side, we got this circuit here. Looks like, so we've definitely got some flux around this SBV chip, right? And it's been put back on the right way, yep. And we've also got some more flux around this chip as well, which has also been put back on the right way, from what I can tell. Been lots of poking and prodding. Looks like they've done a really good amount of investigation on this board before they've called it quits. So again, not looking good, but... So this is where our short is. Jumping everywhere. And the amount of times they stabbed at this, by the looks of it, they're probably thinking the exact same thing. So I know it sounds stupid. I'm going to do exactly what they've done. Remove everything and just go for voltage injection and see what happens. Just knock the cap absolutely flying. Well, I have no idea where that cap's gone at all. Disappeared. Luckily, I've got donors, so I can just straight up replace it. Right, see what's going on. Still got a short? Yeah, 1 ohm. Let's just clear it entirely. Get off. Even this resistor. Let the board cool down a bit. So now to confirm, on this rail here, we've got nothing. Same on the back side as well. Nothing. Let's see what happens. Still short. Okay. I've still obviously as well got a short to ground on these caps. I've injected, but again, nothing getting hot from what I can tell. It's gone down to an amp now. Even the APU still doesn't look like it's getting hot, to be honest. I'm going to go for this inductor here as well, because this inductor, or should I say coil, should not be 1 ohm. I'm sure it should be a little bit higher than that. The big boy coil. What side's our short on? Not that side. this side. If I have to rebuild the whole circuit, I have to rebuild the whole circuit. I just want to be 100% sure. If, when I injected into this, I could see that the APU was getting hot, I would have called it a day. But the fact that the APU isn't getting hot gives me the faith to believe. Faith or stupidity. One or the other. Okay, so do we still have a short? We do. Well, this ain't letting up, is it? All right. What happens? 0.7. So I still get 1.5 amp draw. 1.5 amps. Injecting, nothing getting hot at all on the board. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Oh, well, we do have these two caps on the back. Hold on. Still showing a short here, yeah? Yeah. And here? Hold on. Okay. Try again. With everything off the line, we still get 2 amps of current being drawn. And not a single thing to show getting hot. Strange. So strange. Should take the tape off as well around the APU. Let's just take a look under the scope. Any liquid metal escaped under here? I don't think so. Doesn't look like it, does it? I think it's just glue, but doesn't look great, does it? Yeah, it's just glue. Look, same for here, just glue. Yeah, we get a 1 ohm short here. 1 ohm short there. No cracks in any of the corners, nothing like that. On the die, that is especially. Absolutely nada. This is just residual heat from me taking the sticker off. This isn't actually anything that I'm producing. I can't take the APU off because it's such a big chip. I'd need something like a preheater, a board heater to achieve that. I don't have one of those. What I would like to do is see if we have a 70GG SSD controller. The moment of truth. 62. Oh. Maybe the 70s are only available on the Slims and the PS5 Pros, but the Southbridge is a 69GG, and this is indeed factory, as far as I can tell anyway. And on the back of the Southbridge, we have this little resistor here, which indicates that this is meant to be a 69GG Southbridge. So maybe we can then, so this is a 69GG, maybe we can pair a 62GG with that Southbridge. At this point now, I've really got nothing to lose. I'll put the components back on and just call this supposedly a faulty APU, and we should at least be able to get our money back. I've not removed the SSD controller. It's got the Southbridge, got the Wi-Fi IC, everything else. It'll have the power supply, it'll have the chassis, etc. Obviously, I'm not going to go ahead and put the liquid metal back on. That'd be silly. Just a very strange one. But I think what I'm going to do now that I'm confident to see that SSD controller, the 62GG, is a factory, I'm going to try and replace that on the first console we worked on and see if that fixes it. Remember, I had a 270 milliamp draw. Let's go. I need to actually rotate this board. This is a bit silly of me to do it this way. Probably thinking, Joe, what are you talking about? Let me explain. If I do it this way, I have my tweezers in my left hand, right? So what I can do is I can just simply prop this up from here and not risk anything on this side, if that makes sense. So it means that I can use my tweezers this side to prop it up. And if it does slip, I don't hit any components. Right? If I do it from this way, I have the SSD here. If I do it from this way, I have SSDs up here. So I'm just going to give this a little poke, give it some flux as well. Inject it from the left. I don't go round, I just inject from one side because it makes its way underneath anyway. This is 460, and it's struggling right now. I thought it'd be a little bit loose. It's coming. Here we go. Move quick. Just in case, because I don't know 100% that it has been replaced. I mean, I thought it did because of the fact that it had flux underneath it, but you never know. So I'm going to come in with some leaded here. Well, it looks like it might have been replaced because of the solder mask underneath. But I will confirm in a second. At least now that's nice shiny solder. And then again, if we move quickly, we should be able to wick this up nicely with the board nice and hot. I think it's been attacked before from what I can tell. It's very sensitive. I can feel it quite sticky, you know. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Microfiber, whilst it's still warm. How's it look? Looks really good actually. I don't need to replace any solder mask. I think we're okay. Yeah, we're looking good. Right, in which case I'm going to act quick here. So again, straight on with the flux. Oh, cotton swabs. No! I thought I had everything ready. Ah! That's what I mean. I thought I had everything ready, and I didn't. Joke's on me. I bought a brand new box of cotton swabs, and I didn't get them out of the pack. So I need to do that after this. And what I also didn't do is get the SSD chip ready. So I haven't really practiced what I've preached, hey? Right, SSD chip, pin 1. Okay, cool. Right, here we go. 450 degrees Celsius, airflow speed 99%. Let's do this. Okay, pin 1 lined up with the arrow in the top. Circling around. Probably lost quite a bit of heat in the board now because we took quite a long time putting this on, which isn't great. Need this to sit down properly. Don't know if it has. I've got no idea. Oh, did it just move? I think it did just move into the right place. So I'll come in with the flux now. Slowly inject. And now we just go for the reflow. You guys know I don't do the poke test anymore, so I'm just waiting for this to be okay. Just going by experience, which I think that'll be fine. Let's check and see if we've done an okay job soldering. Okay. I'm happy with that. Those balls look a lot better than what they did before. You see the ones before, they looked a little bit more squished. These are 0.55 mil, so I think they're a bit bigger. So I think they look better. It's a nice job, I think. Clean. No bridges, from what I can tell. Flux looks nice, as in none of it, which is good. But that looks like a nice clean job. Right, time for testing. And I'm actually going to put it back in the chassis to test. 3, 2, 1. Yes. Oh my gosh. I know I don't seem happy, but trust me, I'm so happy. That's probably like one of my most ridiculous reactions to something actually working. I'm really, really happy. I just didn't think it wouldn't. I was 80% certain that it wouldn't, because I thought they had already replaced the South Brit, the SSD controller. I'm just checking to make sure I get an image. It's repairing the console storage right there.
Joey.
Let me just see it boot. It's probably going to go beep, beep, beep. I hope so anyway. Alright, thank you for the 100 bits. There we go. 3 beeps. Hear that? Beep, beep, beep. And it's on. Sweet. I took a risk on the 270 milliamps. Yeah. And I used a 62GG SSD controller. And I was convinced it was going to be a 70GG. Happy days. Wow. Didn't expect that. Didn't expect that at all. And as you can see from that, we have successfully repaired that PlayStation 5. On the live stream, I did go a little bit further and just test the disk drive, etc., make sure everything was okay. And to that, it was, which is a huge relief. So what I can do now is I can sell the PS5 I wasn't able to fix that had the faulty APU. And then I've made a profit on the first PS5 that we actually looked at today. That took a good turn. I'm super happy with that. Really thought I'd have an issue with a 70GG SSD controller. On that note, the 70 SSD controllers are only on PS5 Slims and newer. The 1200, 1100 and 1000 series PS5s have the 62GG SSD controllers. Let's head on over to Sally's Spectacular spreadsheet to do some updating. Okay, so currently as it stands, we've got 926.33 total. That's going to change because the Xbox Series X's that I wasn't able to fix, I'm going to put them as actual total loss for the time being until I can fix them and make the profit. That'll just give us a more accurate number as to what this actually is. So in today's episode, number 26, we had 2 PlayStation 5s. Both of them were in fact disc editions. Cost was $115 each. Parts, 0. Taken from donor boards. I think I'll be able to get £120 for the one that I wasn't able to fix, the APU one, maybe even a little bit more, but I'll go with 120. And this one, this PS5 with the SSD controller, I think 250. So that's a big profit. Estimated profit £112 there. Take into consideration the postage, you're talking £95. And I've got a bunch of updating to do. Unfortunately, this PS5 here, and if you're wondering which one this is, it's the one I've done a video on saying selling on eBay goes wrong, where I'd sold this PS5 on eBay and it came back to me saying no power with the original fault that we had. I then in that video fixed that console and tested it over the period of a week, each day turning it off, turning it on, playing games, thinking that it was good to go again. I sold it and unfortunately it's come back to me again as of yesterday. So I'm waiting for the actual return, but again it says no power. That will be the end of that PS5. That I won't be attempting to fix it and sell it again. I will most probably just try and sell it for parts. With that being said, I'm going to delete the actual eBay sale price for the time being. And the updated sale price, I'm going to put 120, which looks to give us a loss of 68.79. Sort the postage out there. It's a little bit different now, 58.79. And that was episode number 20. So apparently in episode number 20, we had an actual total profit of £65.09. I can't update the actual profit yet because we haven't sold it. But what I will do is just delete that, so I know that I need to update it. Episode 21 was an Xbox Series X I still haven't sold. And what I'm going to do here is use the 177.99 to show more accurately that that's our actual profit at the moment. So between that and this PS5, the total is minus 102.90 for episode 21, which takes a big toll, obviously. We go from 37.55 to minus £51.45. Same story for episode number 23, Xbox Series X. Same story here. We got the Xbox Series X that's minus 152.99. This PS5 here sold for 107.09, which gives us a total loss of £43.84. Well, that's a big one because I paid 142.94 for it and then minus the postage as well. Minus 43 quid on that. This PS5 here also sold for 125.34. We made a profit. Lovely jubbly. £2.35 profit for that one. This PS5 here, a working one, sold for 252.21. Big profit. Wow. That was after fees and everything. After postage. £119.22 profit there. Because I bought that PS5 for £115, sold it for 25221, really good profit. And finally, this PS5. This was a digital edition that we managed to fix and sold for 233.95 after fees. I paid 168.50 for that console. So we get £46.46 profit. So episode number 23 needs updating because that's currently minus 231.83. Minus 231.83. Wow. That's going to be a big hit. I lost £77 an hour in that episode. Episode 24 might be quite nice. £103.92. Over 4 hours work, that was almost £26 an hour. And episode 25 solely on its own was £46.46 profit, which over an hour and a half was £30 an hour. Nice. And the estimated total profit for today's episode is going to be £80.72. Believe it or not, I'm going to say 2.5 hours on this one because of the pure reballing the SSDs. I'm gonna count that, the SSD controllers that I reballed at the start. So I'll say around about 2.5 hours or so. So it'll be interesting to see where we land with this one. Are we ready for scores on the doors? This is where we're currently at. So we've lost quite a bit in the actual profit because of the Xbox Series X's, don't forget, and the PS5 that we're getting back. But we're at £601.80. Wow, that's got extremely south, hasn't it? Estimated total profit is £891 and 9 pence. That's where everything currently stands. A bit gutted again, I've lost quite a bit there, but hopefully onwards and upwards. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as always, I shall see you in the next one. Peace.